It starts with a quiet thought, one that feels both unsettling and true. Every person you know is trying to be believed. Every smile, every apology, every soft tone of concern hides a small desire to be seen a certain way. We don't only want to be understood, we want to be right. That's the hidden pulse behind human connection. Friedrich Nietzsche saw this more clearly than anyone. He believed that beneath every word and every act of kindness lives something deeper, older, and far more honest: the will to power. It's not about control in the political sense. It's about influence, the natural drive to shape others, to leave a mark, to bend reality just enough that it favors us. Most people think manipulation belongs to the cruel or the deceitful. Nietzsche disagreed. He saw it as part of human nature itself. Every creature wants to grow, to assert itself. Animals do it through strength. Humans do it through emotion, through language, through subtle acts of persuasion. When you comfort someone, you want them to see you as caring. When you apologize, you want to be forgiven. Even in honesty, there's a shadow of performance. Nietzsche said, "This is what makes human morality so complicated. We call things good or bad, not because they are absolute truths, but because they serve our needs. Goodness itself can be a disguise for control." He traced this to what he called slave morality, the morality of the weak. When the strong ruled by force, the powerless invented moral systems that made strength seem evil and weakness seem virtuous. Humility, obedience, and guilt became tools. The weak learned to dominate through shame. They couldn't win through violence, so they won through conscience. That's where the genius of manipulation begins. It hides behind goodness. It whispers, "I'm only doing this for your sake." A parent's guilt, a lover's silence, a friend's pity, each one can be a quiet form of power. Guilt, especially, fascinated Nietzsche. He said it's one of the most effective tools ever created. When you make someone feel guilty, you don't need to control them anymore. They'll do it themselves. Society, religion, and even family learned this long ago. Convince someone they owe something to God, to their parents, to their people, and they will spend their whole life paying a debt that never ends. That's how control becomes self-sustaining. The chains no longer need to be visible. Then there's love, the most delicate and dangerous manipulation of all. Nietzsche saw love as a kind of hunger, a desire to possess, to be the reason someone exists. We call it devotion, but behind it often hides ownership. We want to be loved back, to be chosen, to be irreplaceable. Every declaration of love carries a silent question. Will you stay loyal to me? Will you obey the rules of my affection? Even the most romantic relationships can become games of quiet domination. The one who loves more often becomes weaker, more afraid to lose, more easily controlled. But the one who loves less must still pretend to care, because appearing indifferent also grants power. Nietzsche saw this as one of the deepest tragedies of being human. We cannot love without risking control, and we cannot control without poisoning love. And then there is silence. Silence is the most elegant form of manipulation. It forces the other person to move first, to guess, to overthink, to fill the space. The one who stays quiet always holds the advantage, because they make others chase for meaning. Silence can punish, seduce, or dominate, all without a single word. Nietzsche might have said that silence is the weapon of those who no longer need to argue. What unsettled people most about Nietzsche was his refusal to comfort. He said we lie to ourselves about why we act. We call our control help, our judgment morality, our self-interest virtue. The human mind is full of disguises. We crave truth only when it flatters us. Otherwise we twist it. But Nietzsche didn't hate humanity for this. He simply wanted us to see it clearly. Awareness, he believed, is the only path to freedom. Once you understand how manipulation works, how it hides inside love, guilt, and morality, you stop being so easily controlled. You stop mistaking weakness for virtue. You stop believing every act of kindness is pure. He called the person who reaches this state the Übermensch, the one who creates their own values, not because they are heartless, but because they see through illusion. The Übermensch doesn't pretend to be selfless. They know their instincts. They admit their hunger for meaning, their desire to influence, their wish to matter. Instead of hiding it, they direct it. That's what makes Nietzsche's ideas both liberating and terrifying. Once you start to see through manipulation, you can't unsee it. You begin to notice how people use words like tools, how guilt can soften you, how charm can distract you, how pity can trap you. You realize that kindness can control, and that sometimes cruelty is just honesty wearing no disguise. But the hardest realization is this: you do it too. We all do. We manipulate not because we are evil, but because it's built into our nature. We want to be safe, admired, forgiven. We shape our stories to make others care. Even confession can be a form of persuasion. "I'm just being honest," we say, while secretly hoping honesty will make someone love us more. That's what Nietzsche meant when he said that truth is rarely pure. Every truth carries a motive. Every word hides a wish. And when we finally admit that, we stop being innocent, but we start being real. The world looks different after that. You see morality not as divine law, but as human invention. You see love not as perfection, but as a fragile exchange of need. You see guilt not as proof of goodness, but as proof of control. The curtain lifts, and what's left is raw, human, and uncomfortable. Yet Nietzsche didn't leave us in despair. He believed clarity could be power. Once you understand the machinery of influence, you can choose how to use it. You can give without pretending to be selfless. You can love without pretending it's pure. You can speak without pretending it's truth for everyone. You can stop being a puppet in your own story. When you reach that level of honesty, life becomes quieter but sharper. You start to see people not as villains or saints, but as mirrors, each one reflecting a version of the same struggle. Everyone is trying to matter, to be believed, to control their small corner of chaos. Manipulation isn't the enemy, it's the language of survival. The only question Nietzsche leaves us with is whether we can speak that language consciously. Whether we can use power without hiding behind virtue, whether we can influence without deceit. Maybe that's what freedom truly is. Not innocence, not purity, but awareness. The moment you see your own motives clearly, no one can use them against you. You stop being ruled by guilt, by shame, by the need to appear good. You stop chasing illusions. And when that happens, something quiet and honest replaces manipulation, not perfection, not peace, but understanding. You begin to act with your eyes open. You give because you choose to, not because you're told to. You love without pretending it's holy. You speak without begging to be believed. Nietzsche never promised comfort. He promised truth, and truth rarely feels gentle. But once you face it, once you understand how the hidden mechanics of manipulation shape every bond, every belief, and every moral system, you begin to live differently, not softer, but more awake. Because in the end, every human being wants to be believed. Every act, every smile, every silence is part of that dance. The only real difference between the manipulator and the awakened one is that the awakened person finally knows what they're doing.